Okay, here we go. Some yoga for midlife. All you're going to need is a pole, and it can be a curtain rod like I have here. It could be a broom or whatever you decide. It could be a hockey stick, a whatever type of stick you'd like. And you can use a yoga mat, but it's really not necessary. I will probably just be on the floor. So let's get started. So this is based on hot yoga. And so if you'd like, you can turn your heat up to 106 degrees, but I would imagine most people aren't into that. So you can do this any time of the day. It's a pretty tough practice because it requires a lot of balancing poses in the beginning. That's why we're using our pole. But it's also going to help just some of our shoulder mobility. So let's just kind of get a nice stable stance and bring your hands just a little bit wider than shoulder width, and then just inhale and raise your shoulders over the head. Just check out your mobility right here. And then exhale, come on down. So in a hot yoga class, it looks very, very different. It's called angel breath, and I've always hated it. So I don't know about you, but I prefer poses that are going to be working with my body where it is, rather than something that just seems awkward altogether. So it's good to get ourselves centered by starting with the breath and just checking out where our body is right now. And so I always like to do this early in the morning with some 5-pound weights. And just see how your shoulders are moving here. And just notice that we get a lot of tension as we age, because we hunching our chest forward, hunching our shoulders forward, and that limits our ability to breathe deeply through our chest. So this is going to help us open up a little bit. You can even extend your hands a little bit wider and getting a little bit more opening in the shoulders. You can really widen it up and do it like this. But this is fine for now. And hopefully I won't lose you, because this microphone is rather old. It was days of yore when I was teaching online as an academic. Okay, so let's keep your hands overhead, and let's just do some side bends. Just kind of get a feel for these lateral bends. We don't normally do this unless we're reaching for something, then we wind up, hurting something, at least I do. Just kind of sway your hips. So just notice if one hip is tighter than the other. And so your feet can be close together, or they could be a comfortable distance apart. And just notice how your shoulders feel. And now come straight. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bend over to your right. Now I'm not going to mirror you. Just bend over to the right. Now the left hip is going to kind of jut out. Just feel the extension on the left side of the body. Place Really place your left foot into your floor, your mat, whatever, and keep extending through the arms. And so the right hand is kind of extending out, and just feel the body just holding this tension. And check your breath. And then come back to straight. Inhale, extend. Exhale, over to the left. So again, the right side body is a kind of bending. You get a nice stretch there. Placing, really stamping the right foot into your mat, your floor. The right arm is extending, the left hand is extending and pulling your right arm a little bit further. And then come back up. Inhale, and just take a feel for just a little bit of a back bend. Now I could do a little bit more of a back bend, but it's early. Just feel the chest open here, the shoulders open. As you can see, I'm doing a little Elon Musk thing going on with my, my belly hanging out. Woo! And then inhale, come back up, extend. Now feel the extension from the bottom of your spine to the top of your head. Fold forward. So maintain a curve in your lower back and then come to a forward fold. You can bend your knees. Your feet can be a little wider if you'd like. You can even wiggle your hips back and forth. I always like to do that. Bending your knees, keeping your knees soft. And if your hands don't quite reach the floor, that's fine. You can bend your knees if you'd like. Bend your knees a lot. We're going to do this in a little bit more in a minute. If you're a little bit more mobile, you can even bring the pole behind you and behind your calves with the palms facing away from you, so palms facing behind you. And you can pull on your pole, pull it forward. You feel a little bit more extension, a little bit more hamstring stretch. You can even bring the pole up to your thighs. So I'll show you a little bit with this. Whoops. So you feel that way. So wherever you are, this is the hard part. You can use a flat back to bring you up, or you can kind of see what it's like to feel a deadlift here. So if you're a CrossFitter or whatever, you know what a deadlift is. So bend your knees just a little bit and just feel the deadlift coming up. All right, so that's the first part. All right, so let's just feel what it's like to really bend. And everyone hates chair pose. I love chair pose. So some classes will teach you to keep your feet together, but that doesn't feel great for me. I like to keep my feet about a foot or so apart. And so we're going to do 3 bends, different types. So you can put your hands straight forward. That's going to be your anchor point, and you're going to be moving the pole a little bit forward as you come down. For the first one, we're just going to bend our knees slowly and just kind of suss it out. Now, as you're bending, you're going to feel a little bit more of a curve in your lower spine, but also make sure that the bottom of the ribs and the top of your pelvis are kind of inching a little closer. So you're best as possible, you're going to try to maintain upright. Pull the shoulders back. How low can you go? How low can you go? And as you get lower, you're going to pull the hips back a little bit so the knees don't go past your toes right now. See how low you can go here. And if you have the ankle mobility, you can probably come all the way down and reaching forward with the pole. Now, of course, if you are one of the lucky ones who've come down, you got to come back up again. So draw the hips back. Keep your head and chest up. So without really jarring your knees, you're going to lift your hips first. Roll the shoulders back. And then as you get closer, you're going to feel this in your butt. As you feel like there's a paper towel between your feet, you're pulling that apart and coming back. Whew. So that's the first one. All right. Now the second one, I'm going to try to, hopefully you still hear me. Hopefully you still hear. Yeah, there you go. So the second one, we're going to come up on our toes. And this can be challenging. So if you would like, you can use the pole to help you balance. So you can stay here and come up on your tippy toes. Your feet are about, comfortable distance apart. Now squeeze your toes into the floor, your mat. You should feel your calves engage, but this is really kind of working the muscles of your feet. So again, you can do this, you can try to hover with your hands like this, or you can just come down. Now this time, we're going to allow the knees to go past our toes and come down as comfortable as you'd like. So drop the hips, bending the knees a lot. You'll feel your core engage as you come down. Your core is going to stabilize you. So your knees are really coming forward. As you probably are my age, you're going to get a little creaking. Now, rather than jarring the knees here, you're going to bring the knees back towards you as you're coming up. So you're bringing the knees back, bring the hips back, and now really use your quad muscles to come back up and then come back onto your heels. Woo! Kick out your legs. Now we're going to do a third type of chair pose. Now this is where we keep our feet, maybe a fist distance apart. And I didn't bring it with me, but I usually put like a little mini ball between my legs, but I didn't bring it with me. It's in the other room. But just imagine there's a ball between your legs, or you can just kind of squeeze your knees together like you gotta pee. So again, you can hold your pole right in front of you, or you can use the pole to help stabilize you. And remember, as you're bearing down on the pole, you should feel your core engage. That's what we're working for. All right, now from here, raise your heels about, I don't know, an inch off the mat, off the floor. We're going to do the same as we did the last one. So you're bending your knees. The knees are coming forward. And you're squeezing your knees together. So it's a little bit more of engagement in your inner thighs. So use the pole as you need to. Squeeze the knees together. Bring the knees towards you, behind you. Hips moving back. Ooh, there we go. So there is your chair. Now eagle pose is next. I hate eagle. But that's because I need eagle, because my internal rotators are really very weak, which is why I have some problems with my hips and my knees and whatnot. So lots of times we do eagle arms, and I don't want to get into why I don't like eagle arms, but eagle legs are really important, especially in helping us balance and helping us work towards different angles of our bodies. So let's balance on our left foot first. Now, of course, if you've been to a hot yoga class, there's like all this crazy stuff. Let's just keep it simple. Balance on your left foot and feel the extension, like you're stamping the left foot into the floor. Like you're doing a leg press. And now the right knee kind of crosses over the left, and you're bending your left knee a little bit. So you're crossing your legs here. So now you know why we have the pole, because that's going to help you stabilize. Because otherwise, when you're moving around too much, you are going to jar your joints big time. So obviously in a yoga class, when you're doing this pose, they say, oh, well, if you need to come to a wall, well, what if you're not near a wall? That's why we have our pole. And sit down. So feel a little bit of stretch here as we bend our left knee a little bit more. And then inhale, just really gently come back up to standing. And relax. Shake out the left leg because I know it's working. All right, let's do the other side. Left hand, left pole, left side. Right foot stamps into your mat. Try to spread your toes wide. Try to always remember that clawing of your foot. That's going to help you stabilize. Bend the left knee, cross it over. Just that feels good. And now bend your right knee. Again, as you get a little bit more mobile, you'll feel a little bit more in eagle pose. Just feel like you're internally rotating both legs together. But we're really focusing on just the stability of these standing poses. Because, you know, we lose our balance. Just feel the integrity of all the muscles in your legs. Inhale, come on up. And release, relax. Okay, now if you're familiar with dancer's pose, you can let go of the pole and grab a strap. but I'm going to do a version with the pole. So dancer's pose is really, really good for balancing on your one leg, which is really important for us as we get older. But you also will get a nice shoulder opening, which is why I like this pose a lot. Now, of course, if you take hot yoga, you got to do this for a minute. But let's see how we do. All right. So let's put all the weight into your left foot. And you can use the pole to help extend your spine. Okay. And your left knee is going to be, there's going to be a slight bend in your left knee. And then bend your right knee. And see if you can just kind of grab your ankle. So see why we need the pole. So this might be fine for you. So let's kind of hang out here. If you're a little bit more mobile, you can bring your hand on the inside of your right foot. And then as you kick into, as you kick into your right foot, your torso is going to come forward. And then you'll need to move the pole forward. So your left butt cheek is on fire. And just notice the shoulder of your right shoulder opening a little bit. And then just very easily come back. And relax. Whew. In hot yoga class, we do this twice, but we're just going to do this one time. Wake up my computer again. I'm doing this on my computer rather than my DSLR because I don't know why. All right, so let's really ground the right foot. Feel that clawing, feel the engagement in your right foot. And then bend your left knee. And just see if you can grab the ankle first. And that might be fine for you. So it's just basically a quad stretch. That's fine. And use the pole for your stability. Open your left shoulder. And if you want to move, I just got a nice little cramp. So you decide which is good for you. So if you have a strap, you can wrap the strap around your ankle and pull on that. And then if you'd like to go a little further, you can press the left foot into your left hand and feel the left front hip open up. And as you press further, you're going to need to move your pole a little bit forward to balance. And try not to move your hip, move your knee out to the side. Try to keep it closer to your body. Feel a stability in your standing leg. That feels good. And then come back very slowly. Yes. All right, so now we've done a lot of standing poses. So hopefully that really helps as we get older to stand on one leg. So let's do a little test. So we're going to do a thing called standing stick. So start at one side of your mat. Move up a little bit. So I'll pump into my wall, my mini wall. So here you can do it one of two ways. You can just have your pole in front of you because we're doing this. Or you can put your pole behind you and feel the shoulder opening. So this is a little bit more stable, even though this part will give you a counterbalance. So you decide what you're going to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp with our left foot first. So step forward, ground through your left foot. It's going to be a little slight baby bend into your left knee. Feel the right foot just slowly come off, and the right leg is going to kick up, and this is where we start feeling a little wobbly. We hinge from the hips and we balance on the left leg. And if you're like me, your left leg is kind of all over the place. And your left butt cheek is on fire. So the more you kick back with your right heel, you're going to feel that nice counterbalance. And then come back up. And then recover. So other side. So this is called standing stick, but other practices will call this warrior 3. So just a small step with your right foot. Get your balance first. And then the left leg comes up. You hinge from the hips. And the left leg extends back behind you. The left heel extends away. And the torso, best as possible, is going to be parallel to the ground. Inhale, come on up. Whoop. And release, relax. So that feels pretty good now. All right. So now, which is my favorite pose, the wide leg forward fold. So again, you can do with the pole in front of you, or you can do what I just did. And I like this, having the pole behind me, because it really opens out my shoulders. So your feet are a good distance apart. I'd say, well, it really depends upon how long your legs are. Mine are very short, so there's about 2.5, 3 feet apart. All right, so inhale, extend your spine. And as you extend your spine, just feel a little bit of grounding. Just feel grounding of your feet. And then exhale, hinge from your hips. So you're coming with a flat back, even though you're still going to have, it's a neutral back. It's a little curve in your lower back. So you can come forward and feel the stability in your legs. So you're grounding and seeing if you can pull your feet away from you. You feel a little tension in your butt. So that's really good because you're strengthening your hips. And now do the opposite. Now try to feel your feet drawing towards you. You feel a little bit of tension in your inner thighs, and you might even feel your core. Now if you'd like to fold forward even further, come all the way down, or you can stay. Or you can release your pole and get a nice little stretch. You can bend your knees. So this should feel really good to release into the forward fold. Now to come on up, you can try your deadlift. So you can just kind of pull up this way. Or you can bring your pole behind your shoulders and come up with a flat back, extending the spine, using your core, feeling your hip points pulling together like a drawstring, like you're zipping up your pants. That is going to be key. All right. Then you can use your pole to help bring your legs together. Whew. All right, so then we're going to do a side angle. Now, side angles are really, really great for our stability, but they also kind of really open up our hips. So our hips got a lot of tension as we age. And then we might notice some pockets of tension that limit our mobility. And if we ignore those pockets of tension, then other parts of our body have to overwork. And then meanwhile, we find ourselves kind of falling out of alignment in our stride. And that's where we fall when we're later in life. All right, so from here, bring your pole behind you and step like a wide leg forward fold like we did before. Now turn your right foot so it's a 90-degree angle from your left foot. Okay. And bend your right leg. So this is where it's helpful for you to have a mat, because then your feet don't slip. Now I'm going to open up my feet a little bit wider, because ultimately, it's kind of challenging, but we have our thigh at about a parallel to our floor. And now let's just kind of bring our right arm towards our right leg. What? So this is challenging to hold. It's pretty challenging. So your torso is just kind of leaning over. It's challenging. And then bring your torso back up. Extend your right leg. And then swap your feet. So your left foot is 90 degrees from your right. Spread your feet wide. Bend your left knee. Just kind of suss it out. And take a look at your knee. Make sure that you can see your left toe, big toe. And just kind of tip over like a teapot. Press into your big toe of your left foot. Feel the engagement of your inner left thigh. Reach through your top arm. So this is strengthening and opening at the same time. And then let's come back up. Extend your left leg. Bring it parallel. Yes. And then you can hop your legs together. Okay. So if you've done single leg deadlifts, I have the biggest trouble with single leg deadlifts because my left leg from many years of injury. It's just very unstable. And so lots of times what we do is we rush through our deadlifts. And, like lots of times, we do this number and we're doing everything except the actual deadlift. So when we're going to do just a couple on each leg, just so you can get a feel of what the deadlift is supposed to do. Because again, you can muscle your way through these poses if you'd like, but when you do them slow, you'd be amazed at all the little small structures that have fallen asleep. For me, I know that my butt cheeks, especially my left butt cheek, likes to go on vacation. So here's where we need to really engage our core. Now, what does that mean? If you've seen some of my other videos, when we engage our core, we're thinking the top of your hip points are trying to draw together, like you're basically pulling a drawstring around your waist, if you can get that feeling. And then the top of your ribs are going to kind of pull forward, like you're doing like a mini crunch, like a crunch of like a millimeter. So if you can get that feeling right there, so pulling your hips together and then doing like a little mini crunch, that's what you're looking for in this deadlift. All right, so we're going to start with our left foot, our left leg. So it's similar to that standing stick, and I'm probably going to do this really horribly, but I was doing it last night for a really long time, and it just felt really, really good. So let's balance on your left foot first. So just get that feeling of balancing on one leg. All right? Balancing on one leg. You can pick your right leg up, or you can just kind of duck it behind you for balance. So you can do that the entire time if you'd like to kind of serve as a kickstand. And now you're going to hinge from your hips and just let the bar, the pole, follow down your thigh. Follow down your thigh as you try to balance on your standing leg. And like that standing stick that we were doing earlier, just how slow can you go? And then of course, once you get to your knee, you can just kind of let your shoulders, you can just kind of let the pole drop. And then you can just kind of go as low as what feels good without too much stretch, but you want to feel the integrity of this deadlift. And now pull back up. Whew! That's pretty tough. Let's try the other leg. Yeah. Oh, good knee. All right, you ready for this side? So the back leg can be like a kicks down at first, and just kind of the shoulders are just kind of hang. And then you just kind of hinge from the hips and let the bar just kind of graze down your leg first. You pick the back foot up if you need to. And then eventually the bar will let go. And you keep hinging. Now, that core, how far do you go where it's strengthening and stretching, but not too much? What happened to your core? So let's see if we can use our core to pull us up. So let's pull. So that drawstring, the ribs, You also feel your butt cheek engage as you hinge to come back up. Good grief. So let's do it again on the other side. Didn't think yoga was going to be this hard, huh? Yeah, right. Yeah, not for ninnies. All right. So let's get that feeling in the left leg. Feel the engagement of the core. Feel the strength in the left leg. Extension in the left leg, as that's going to be your stability. And then just let the pull drop down. You hinge from the hips. As you let go of the bars, it kind of hangs. Engage your core, drawstring. Ribs are just kind of tucking down just a millimeter to keep you stable. And then the same coming on up, hinge from the hips. Whew. So again, we don't want to rush this, right? Yeah, right. No rushing. Rush around all of our lives, right? This is their time to slow down. All right. Engagement of the core. Let the pull slide down. Core engage. Extend the spine. Let the pull go. And then come back up. Use the core. Use your butt. Strong legs. Yep, there we go. So see how everything just kind of works together to keep you stable, keep you strong. All right, last pose in the standing series is tree pose. And we are going to hold this for a minute. You decide how you want to do this. So think, what can I do for a solid minute? All right. I got my clock over there. Now, tree pose is going to be like this. Okay, so you can use your pole. You can use your pole like this. You could bring your pole overhead. You decide what you can hold for a minute. Now, of course, you can do toe stand. I can do toe stand on one leg, but not the other. All right, so let's ground through your left foot. Feel the balance, feel the stability. You can even just hold your knee like this for the entire minute. Okay? So wherever you are, let's see what we can do. So if you want to hold the foot on the inside of your shin, that's fine. Be sure to press into all 5 toes of your left foot. And if you have 6 toes in your left foot, press into all 6 toes. If you're a little bit more open in the hip, you can bring your heel on the inside of your left thigh. Feel the grounding, feel the stability. Stand tall like a tree. You can hold your hands open. Raise your arms overhead. Oops. And so now let's draw the knee towards the front and release. Relax. So your legs are Doing some good work here, yeah? Right. Yep. All right. Other side. I want to make sure that my microphone is still working. Yeah, you still working? Yeah, I'm still working. Like I said, it sometimes craps out on me. All right, ground through the right leg. And you notice that your right leg might be a little bit more stable. We want to work so we keep our legs even and stable, because that'll prevent falls later. So just kind of ground through the foot. Strong leg, extend the spine. So everything is locked in. So your heel can be on the inside of your shin. Just make sure you're not locking it on the actual knee. Whatever. If you want to. I'm less open in this hip, so it might not stay. It's just this knee has been acting up as I got older. And just how proud can you stand here? So you can hold. To help keep you stable, it also helps to focus on a point just a few feet in front of you. And then draw your knee towards the front and release, relax. Okay, so that is the standing series. Now we're going to go to the floor and do some work on our back bends and some forward bends. So during a hot 60 class, you'll probably spend some time in Shavasana as you transition between the standing poses and the seated poses. But we're going to skip that because it's not a hot 60 class. So let's try something on our backs. Trying to see if I want to do it this way. I'll actually face kind of this way so you can see a little bit better, hopefully. So let's draw your right knee to your chest. So this is called wind relieving pose. And if you are familiar with hot 60, this is like, working with your colon, so you're supposed to fart. So, feel whatever you want to. But this actually feels really, really good. This is a really, really nice stretch for the top of your hip and even just some of the structures in your right hip. And then breathe best as possible. Just feel the extension. This really, really feels good on my left hip. And now let's move to the left. Just squeeze the knee to your chest. If you can't reach around for your knee, you can just grab the thigh. Draw it close to your torso as you can and just feel the extension in your right thigh. This helps in the lower back as well. So let's start with this left leg. So this is a little bit of core engagement right here. So bring the left leg to 90 degrees. All right. And grab the thigh with your left hand. And pull your left thigh towards you as you're pressing your thigh away from you. So there's a sort of engagement here. You'll probably feel a little bit of your bicep. All right. So that's going to be a little bit of engagement. And now pick up your right foot. Now remember I was talking about that drawstring? See if we can engage our drawstring as we bring our shoulders off of your mat, your floor. Keep pulling the left leg, pressing your thigh. Feel the drawstring, feel the hip points drawing towards you, and see if you can extend the left leg as you come into a low boat. And then release. Yep. Wiggle your hips. Let's try the other side. Just clasp the right leg, 90 degrees about. So think about pulling the right thigh towards you and pressing the thigh away from you. So there's some engagement here. And pick up your left foot. And then bring your shoulders off of your floor. And remember that core engagement. So those hip points are trying to draw towards one another, that drawstring, that the lower ribs are trying to do a mini crunch. So this is working our core in a different way. And then see if you can keep the core engagement as you extend the right leg and come into a low boat. And then release. Bend your knees and just windshield wiper your legs back and forth. So if you have your pole, we're going to use it again. Just roll onto either side and come into, so you have your pole. Hopefully I can do this without screwing it up too much. So you're going to come down onto your belly. And just have the pole just a little bit in front of you. So we're going to do a little bit of a cobra first, and then we're going to do a locust pose using the pole. All right. So let's come down onto your belly and place your shoulders, your hands just below your shoulders. And so like, if you've got nipples, your thumbs could be basically like touch your nipples. And roll your shoulders back. So in other words, you don't want to be doing this. You want to do this. So just get a feel for this. Because lots of times we basically make Cobra pose into a push-up. That's really not what you want to do. It's not like this. No, not a push-up. Now extend your legs behind you. Like just feel like somebody's pulling on your right ankle, like trying to pull your leg back. And then do the same with your left leg. Like somebody, you could just feel just use your toes to kind of crawl your hips away from your ribs. Roll your shoulders. Imagine your shoulder blades are trying to touch. And this can be fine. You can just kind of bury your head like this, or you can come on up. So this is a little bit of Cobra. Now, try to pick up your belly. It's not going to come up. It won't come up. But just imagine like you're trying to pick up your belly off of the mat. And remember that drawstring as well. So feel your hip points trying to move together. Try to pick your belly button off the mat, and now see if you can roll your chest off of the mat. So this is a strong core engagement here. You might even feel your butt cheeks engage as you press your feet into the mat. You press the top of your hips into basically your hip creases into the mat. And then release. You can come onto one cheek. Let's try it again. So extend your legs away from you. Inch them further away. Roll your shoulders back. Try to pull your shoulder blades together. Pick up your belly button. Press your hip creases into the mat. Lift your belly button. Draw your hip points together. Just a little bit of a crunch going on here as you pick up your chest. It's very subtle, but it's really good for your back muscles. Yeah. All right. Whew. Now let's windshield wipe your legs back and forth. Now, when we do a typical hot yoga class, we will inch our elbows underneath our thighs. And I'm sorry, that's just like the most uncomfortable thing, and it just does some funky things with my elbows, and so it's not really, really comfortable. But the reason why they do that is so we're not arching our back. So it's basically trying to keep this structure kind of level, so you're not torquing too much in your lower back. Let me make sure I'm still recording. So that's really the purpose of it. But we won't be doing that because, again, it's really hard to explain in a video. But you're basically just trying to use your arms to try to keep all of this kind of flat. So again, you're not compressing your lower back very much. So you can put your hands, just kind of use your hands as a pillow if you'd like. Now remember I was talking about trying to imagine somebody pulling your ankle behind you. Just kind of inch your feet back behind you, wiggle your hips. And press your right hip into the mat. So just the bony part of your hip. Press that into the mat. Make sure I'm not. So the bony part of your hip into the mat. You might even find your left hip kind of comes up. So press that bony part of your hip into the mat and extend your right foot behind you. So try to lengthen your leg. And now do the same with your left leg. Just try to inch your hips backwards. Press your left hip into the mat and extend your left foot behind you. So like somebody's pulling your feet, and your right hip might come off a little bit. Now let's just kind of wiggle your hips back and forth. You can use your knees, bend your knees, and windshield wipe your legs. Now what we're going to do is try to keep your hips level. So basically like your, I guess like, let's just press your pubic bone into the floor. You know, maybe like a J.D. Vance look on the couch. So you're basically pressing your pubic bone into the floor. Extend your right foot behind you and see if you can pick up your right foot. It's not going to come too far off the mat, off the floor. So your right hip is pressing in, but your pubic bone is really pressing in. So that's going to keep your hips level. And see if you can lift your leg up. You should feel your butt cheek and your hamstrings work here, and then release. And let's try the other leg. So inch the hips back. Pubic bone presses, your left hip is planted, and then you raise your left foot off of the mat. So this is really strengthening our core, but it's not the core that you think about. This is your back core. This is going to keep you stable as you age. And then release, relax. Okay. So let's grab your pole. I got mine right here. Extend it in front of you. Draw your hips back. Inchworm them back. All right. So it's press your pubic bone into the floor. Raise your legs, both legs. Core engage, belly button off of, so think about raising your belly button. Hip points, try to see if you can pull them together. Think about that drawstring and then come on up. You can use your arm strength to pull your arms away from each other. How long extended can you get? And then release. You can come onto one cheek, bend your knees, windshield wiper your legs back and forth. And I typically will do a little bit more core, a little bit more back bends, but not today. All right, now here's a time that you can try to do a push-up. So see if we can come up as one solid unit. Tuck your toes. Try to push your shoulder blades together. So again, your hands are very, very close to your nipple. Belly button off of the floor. So this is going to be engaging core. Lift your thighs off the mat. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Push. Hold. Feel your hip points moving together. Hands trying to reach towards one another. Strong arms, strong hands. Try to pull your feet together. Feel the engagement there. Hip points moving towards one another. Little mini crunch. And then bend your knees. Come onto a seat. Yep, up. All right. So we're going to do a seated twist. I normally do Janya Shirshasana, but so Janya Shirshasana is basically like it's a twist out of forward fold, whatever. But we're just going to go right into our seated twist. Oh, God, I got a headache. All right, I like to start with my left leg. So we are done with your pole, by the way. So best as possible, so you can actually extend your right leg in front of you, and then your left leg crosses. So you can bend your right leg behind you if you'd like. So you decide what feels good for your hips. So we're basically going to do a quick seated twist, because anytime you do some core and some back bend work, it's always a good idea to twist, to do some easy twists before we do forward bends, because that kind of neutralizes the spine. All right, so you decide what feels good for you, but you can kind of wrap your hand around your left thigh. But whatever you do, extend your spine first. So ground through your sit bones, and maybe your left sit bone isn't quite grounding, but try to extend through your spine, and then reach your hand kind of behind you and just invite a little bit of a twist. And I typically will hold my twist for a lot longer, usually a couple of minutes. And that works more on the fascia than the actual muscles. I like to do yin yoga. So if this is fine for you, you stay here, but you can also grab for, just kind of pull your hip towards you like a hanger and extend into the twist a little bit more. So again, twists are really, really important for us as we age, because, when we go to the gym, we do a lot of just, up and down moves. We do curls, we do lat pull downs or whatever. Even when we're just running, we're just mostly just focusing on forward and back motions. We don't do enough side bends, we don't do enough twists, and then we wonder why we ache so much when we're doing something as simple as reaching for a book. And then release. And just feel that squeeze and soak. Gotta check my computer, make sure we're still filming. It's always just, I can't tell you how many times I've shot videos and I wasn't recording. So again, you can extend the left leg in front of you and cross over the right leg, or you can bend the left leg behind you. So really, whatever is your preference. One isn't better than the other. We never really master a pose, we master ourselves. And it's just a matter of being okay where we are today, because that'll be different than what it is tomorrow. So just kind of get a feel for the twist. So inhale, extend the spine straight, and exhale, just kind of do a small twist right here. So just get a feel for the twist first. And then as your body kind of relaxes into the twist, you can grab. The reason why I like to grab my knee with my elbow is because it stretches out in the back of my shoulder. I had a frozen shoulder in both shoulders, which was kind of nice. It started in one shoulder and I was dealing with that, and then it moved to the other shoulder. And It's just not a fun thing. It's mostly because we're just not, we're not moving our bodies efficiently. And it's a matter of one part of our body is taking up too much of the effort. And other parts of our body might have been tense and they've kind of fallen asleep. So that can be problematic as we age, because the body gets used to the imbalances and gets used to those issues. And then we wonder why we're having problems with one part of our body. It's because maybe this hip is a little, misaligned, and it might not even feel imbalanced in your everyday life, but it will eventually take its toll. So let's release. So let's shake out your legs in front of you. And if you've done a hot yoga class, you know that you basically take your toes and you inch your hips behind you. I love doing that because, my hamstrings get really, really tight, and that compresses everything in my back. So for here, you can bend your knees a little or a lot. I sometimes will put, if I'm feeling really, really tight, I'll put my hands underneath my calves. And that just kind of reminds me to keep my legs from straining too much. And here comes Charlie. Hi, buddy. So from here, when we forward fold, let's see if we can take the lower part, excuse me. So imagine like just below your belly, try to get that part of your belly, imagine that is the part that should be reaching your thighs first. So that's most important. So that avoids you rounding your lower back. Because in this forward fold, it's going to be a little bit of because this is a yang practice, a yin practice, it's okay to have that rolling. But in the a yin practice, we do a little bit more of the rounding. The yang practice, we want to make sure this lower belly is hitting the thigh best as possible. Excuse me. Now I got both dogs here. So that's most important. And that way you're doing a little bit of stretch in the lower back, but you're also stretching your hamstrings. And that is your moving forward. So you're moving forward and not focusing on moving down. And I like to, with my hands the way they are, I like to use my elbows to try to keep my legs from splaying outwards, but that might feel good for you. And you can kind of work towards inching your heels away from you. That'll get some of your Achilles issues. And if you like to do some ankle rolls here, that might feel good as well. And for me, I know that forward folds are always integral for the end of my day. But they're always a good way to seal the end of a practice. So if you can imagine, if you're in a hot yoga class, it's pretty stinky and sweaty, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm in the forward fold. But the modified versions of the poses allow you to get into the best part of the pose without sacrificing the integrity of your joints. So it allows you to work the muscles and the stability without torquing your knees, your hips, your shoulders. All right, so let's release. Let's just walk our hands back up. So we're going to end what we typically end in a hot yoga class. So I like to do this practice. So you basically do it in what they call fixed firm, like this. But you can do it, so you basically are sitting on your heels. You can sit on a block, or you can sit cross-legged like I'm going to be sitting, because Charlie wants to play. So hot yoga typically ends with Kapalabhati, which is a good breath practice to start and end your day. It's a good balancing practice. When we are stressed out, we tend to lose our breath. But what this practice does is it shuttles a lot of gobbledygook out of our bodies and allows us to channel prana through our bodies. So what we do is basically like blowing out a candle. And you're using your core and your diaphragm. So you can do your... He has to make a poo. So think about you're really using your diaphragm. You're basically just like snapping the belly. And a traditional Kapalabhati is done through the nose. In this practice, we do it through the mouth. So we begin with you do a half a breath. And so it basically sounds like this. And just notice how my belly is snapping, but I'm not doing this number, okay? So we are going to do 60, all right? So let's do one deep breath in and exhale together, and then we'll do a half a breath in and then start. So let's inhale deep. Exhale, side out. Inhale halfway, and exhale, snap. I lost count. Inhale. Exhale. So that Kapalabhati is more about the exhale, and the inhale just kind of snaps automatically. So if you have time, you can lie down in Shavasana. As you can see, I can't lie down in Shavasana right now because I have 2 dogs that need to poo. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you enjoy this. If you did, share your experience in the comments and let me know if you want to know more about a particular pose. I can do basically a breakdown of some of the particular poses. And if you'd like similar practices like these, just let me know what you're interested in. Take care.